My name is Eric Mintel. By night, I'm a professional jazz musician, but by even later at night, I investigate the paranormal. I, along with my team at Bucks County Paranormal Investigations, travel the country investigating all things paranormal. This is Bucks County Paranormal Investigations. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Eric Mintel. Welcome to Bucks County Paranormal Investigations. And, tonight we've got a really, really great show. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Actually, it's a recap of what Dominic and I encountered with Eric Spinner and Art Mack and with Tom Carey last in October when we did an investigation in the New Jersey Pine Barrens on October 11th. And guys, this case was unbelievable. I know, we've got a lot to talk about in a very short period of time, but I want to welcome Eric Spinner. We've got Art Mack, and we've got the one and only Tom Carey, author, and we've got Dominic Sattel with us tonight. So thanks so much, guys, for being here.
No problem.
Our pleasure. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. So,
thanks.
guys, I just want to kind of go back just a little bit. Eric, you and I did a little bit of investigation back in July. In the pandemic, of course, everything was going on back in July. But we went down to the Pine Barrens where a lot of these encounters were taking place. So you gave us a really great overview of what we were to expect. And so take us back to there a little bit and tell us what happened in that area and where we were back in July.
It's well, again, thanks for having me on, and happy to be here. It was an early area of mine that I started researching back in 2008. And even back then, I came across some tracks in this swampy area off a trail that was really not used for many, many years. And I found some what looked to be juvenile tracks in the water. And at that time of the year, I wouldn't suspect it being a young person, a human out there barefoot, you know what I mean? And that was one of my first track finds, actually. And it just so happens to turn out that it's right up the road from where I took you, where the juvenile was spotted in 2019. So that's quite a coincidence. I just put two and two together, actually. We took you and the crew out to that area, and we wound up running into who else but Mark Moran from
That's right.
Weird, New Jersey. He was out there too, investigating and looking into some sightings that he was getting reports into the magazine at the time. And we wound up just showing you around, looking at some signs that were in the area, some different maybe tree manipulations. Didn't find any recent evidence, no tracks or anything, but it was a very interesting afternoon.
And it was incredible too, because we had that encounter. We had the witness testimony of the gentleman and his wife that had the Bigfoot encounter. And this was during the day too. When we were down there, it was during the day. They had this encounter maybe a few months prior. I think it was April. Yeah, in April, right? And so it was good to talk with him and find out, of what was going on, what she saw, and it coordinates to what we actually encountered the night of the 11th.
Yeah, we met up with Dave. Art and I actually got to investigate that the next day. We had the report come into the website, and I contacted him, and we were out there that day. And to have that opportunity where you're investigating and following up on a report so soon is just incredible. So Art and I,
such a fresh lead,
jumped in the truck and headed right out and met up with Dave and his wife and recreated the actual encounter.
Incredible. Art, what were your thoughts on that initial case there when you guys went down and investigated that?
Well, it was an interesting location. Had some of the things we're looking for, which is water, swampy areas, forest. As far as the actual sighting, they saw it through the rearview mirror of the car after they had gone past. It was an area where I could believe that would have happened. When she jumped, she says that it jumped across the road. It just, we actually saw a little bit of evidence. Maybe there was a deteriorated tree that had been downed, and there actually was somewhat of an impression in that tree that could have been where it actually, landed or stepped or something once it cleared the trail. But it was pretty awesome. It's a cool area too.
Well, the night that, I mean, it was just absolutely incredible for us just to be, there and with you guys. Dominic, we were in Wisconsin the week before. This is what blew me away with this whole thing. So what you guys may or may not know, Tom, I don't know if you know this either, but Eric was in, I believe, Pennsylvania on the October 2nd. This was a Saturday night. And he got howls on, where were you, in Gettysburg area, right? Somewhere around
north, north of Gettysburg.
So you were doing an investigation there and got these howls. Well, and I'll be damned if Dominic and I didn't get the same kind, like the same thing the next night, but so much louder and so much closer, right, Dominic?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely a lot closer.
The volume on the recorders don't do it justice. This individual howled at us from right across the ravine, and I was blown away by how loud it was. And
yeah, I know you said it was hell of a reading. That's great. I mean, and as researchers, I mean, that's what you're striving for, and and the question begs, what is this? What is this? I know I don't want to get ahead of myself here because Tom gave us some incredible evidence and really great food for thought of what it is. But let's go back to the investigation that night. We went to an area called the Bowl. Now, this is an area that was new to you, right? Or was this a newer area that you guys did? This is something that you've done before?
We've been there many times,
okay.
Art and I.
So we get down there and we're 5 miles in. Thank God we brought Dominic's truck. There's no way I could have had my little Toyota go down into this area. It was like, we'd be stuck. No way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so we're like,
let it out.
Oh yeah, exactly. We'd still be there. But I mean, we're five.
I think it was Art that was saying, yeah, it hadn't rained in a while, so it's pretty dry. Yeah, it wasn't dry.
So note to self, don't listen to Art.
hey, there are some mud holes that are like year round regardless of how much rain, because the water table is so high in those areas.
I bet, it's crazy. But we go we were like 5 miles into driving into the Pine Barrens. And then we got out of the truck. We went about 600-700 feet into the woods, set up base camp. We no sooner get there, we set the base camp up. Eric, you're basically giving us a rundown of what your investigative protocols are, what equipment you're using, and that was fascinating too, because not a lot of people realize that this is what researchers use on certain things. But we're sitting there talking to I think Dominic was talking to Art, asking him his methods, how long he's been doing this, and you and I both heard this whoop. And Tom and I have been talking about this too. Like we see these programs, and we all see the programs that people are whooping and hollering and whatnot. And you don't really know, is that really something there? But it changed my whole perspective that night when I was like, damn, I'll be damned if that's not what we heard. And it was
close.
And it was very close. And it was this whoop. And then your wife, Heather, goes and answers it back.
Right.
And it called back to us like,
similar to what happened on our expedition in the Pine Barrens in September, when Patty, one of our attendees, also did a gentle whoop, and she had like an hour-and-a-half long conversation with what we believe to be a juvenile, a lovesick. We call it a lovesick juvenile. But yeah, this isn't the first time we've had activity there, but it was pretty consistent over the last couple of months, and it could just be a family group moving through the area, and you just never know. It's a matter of being in the right place at the right time.
Well, it seems like we were in the right place at the right time that night, because I think beyond us being there, you also got more evidence like after we left that night.
We stick around, right, Art?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I had to get Dominic home because he had to get up for work the next day. Blame it on Dom.
That was my fault. It was my truck. I had to go.
What did you guys get after we left?
I'll let Art take this one.
Oh, dude, no, I think it's best for you, because quite honestly, my memory. I can't remember now exactly everything that did, because there's always something happening there
Yeah, and you know what? In his defense, we go out so much. I mean, Art and I are out there pretty much almost every other week at least, and whenever the weather permits. We were going to be out tonight, but it just got too windy, and that really blows out our audio recorders, and it just makes it difficult to hear any, response vocalizations or knocks. But after you guys took off, I think the darkness was getting the Dom too. I don't know if it was just the getting up for work, but he said he felt safer in New Jersey than he did Wisconsin. I don't know. I think
Oh yeah.
I just in our defense, I have to say I think it's because you were with us. Anyway, just kidding, Dom. But yeah, after you guys took off, we hung out and we wound up having some additional vocalizations and a couple of potential knocks. It's always hard to say for sure, but we often leave our digital recorders both at where we're set up, and then we also take them along with us when we take a hike later on. And Art's really good about reviewing the audio and then making up the follow-up reports afterwards to post on our NASBRO page.
That's what I wanted to mention too. The night that we were there, you had these very high-powered microphones going at the same time. And this is what we were able to hear in the actual recording itself, because if we were sitting there, you could hear it, but the camera just about heard it, but your microphones actually really picked it up very, very clear.
I believe that they do. I think that like any creature in the woods, It
was at this point we had to cut Art's interview short. We all collectively heard a whoop coming from the woods. Eric's high-powered microphones picked it up.
Yep. You hear that? Yes. Like any creature in the woods, they may.
Eric's wife, Heather, decided to answer back and was getting vocalizations. They were having a conversation.
You're 6 o'clock. All right.
So after we left, Dominic and I were both blown away. We could not believe we were getting this much evidence right out of the gate. I mean, within like 10 minutes of being there. And it was the same thing like us being in Wisconsin. No sooner did we get out to this field, we encountered this creature or whatever it was. And we're still wrapping our heads around it.
It's coming from over that way.
Oh shit.
Fuck.
Uh-oh.
So we leave. The next day, I think the next day or the day after, Tom, and I want to introduce Tom Carey. Tom Carey, folks, you would know Tom, incredible author, is really the authority on Roswell, the Roswell crash in 1947, the UFO crash, and the retrieval of the bodies, but has written so many books. They're on my bookshelf here. But I didn't know that Tom was also an anthropologist, and he gave us incredible insight. So Tom, when we met, I know one of the things, we tried to get you out in the woods that night with us, but you didn't want to go.
No, I thought when you invited me, of course I was, oh my goodness, this sounds like really interesting. And then I thought about it. I said, oh my God, if this is at night, I don't think I want to meet Bigfoot if he steps out from behind a tree. I don't think I want to be there. So I begged off because I'm a chicken at heart,
Don't feel bad, Tom. Bill Barrens bailed on us too, so
Yeah,
he was supposed to join us.
What was his excuse? What was his excuse?
COVID, I think.
I don't
He's
think
been
he's
using
had it.
COVID.
Yeah.
Well, I admit to being afraid. So, having said that, I was a quote unquote fan of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Abominable Snowman ever since I heard this fellow named Ivan T. Sanderson on WOR in New York about 1961. He had written a book called Abominable Snowman Legend Come to Life.
Yeah.
I said, oh my goodness, what is this? And I was very interested in that, a young kid at that time. And along comes this Roger Patterson Gimlin film in 1967. I was living in California at the time, and they came to Sacramento State University, and they showed their film and they gave a talk, and I was blown away. I was blown away. That, you know, the film, you've seen it.
Oh, definitely.
It's the best. It's the best one we got. I think.
No doubt.
And that sort of convinced me, like, wow, it's only a matter of time now. So shortly after that, well, not shortly, but I moved back. I went to the University of Sacramento State University, got a master's degree in physical anthropology. Now, that's my specialty, was human paleontology, early hominids, right in the zone we're talking about for Bigfoot. Of course, I didn't mention Bigfoot to the professors because I wanted to get a good grade, you know? So I went and got a master's degree in physical anthropology, went on to University of Toronto to get a doctorate, spent 4 years there and watched too many hockey games. And my son was of the age where he was starting to play hockey. And the truth be told, fellas, is that I was overcome by fear of failure. I don't know if you ever had that.
Sure.
You're feared that you're going to fail, so you don't try it.
Mm.
So I finished all my coursework, and but I didn't have a thesis topic, and I got plenty of them now. But
Yeah.
I didn't have one back then. So came back to Philadelphia with my wife and 2 children. Went to work for a large insurance company in Philadelphia because, you know, to support my family. And along about 1985, 86, I became a MUFON state section director. And just to get the magazine, you know, that they had, came out monthly magazine. Next thing I know, I'm the state section director for 5 counties. I said, wait a minute, I just want to get the magazine. And so I got sort of tired of the lights in the sky type reports. And I said, this is not interesting. And I got interested in the Roswell case. And I read the book, The Roswell Incident by William Moore and Charles Berlitz. Blew me away. Just like the Bigfoot thing, blew me away. It was the only case I was interested in. And as we speak, we're coming up on 31 years that I've been on this case.
Wow.
We just finished our 11th book. I don't know, you don't have it on the shelf yet, Eric, but it'll be out next June. I just sent in the final, they call it the author's final read.
Cool.
And
I got all these, Tom. This one.
yes, those are older ones. Yes.
One. Children of Roswell.
Okay, that's another one. But this was our 11th. This was our 11th. Hopefully it's our last one. It's our last one. But now my next project has nothing to do with UFOs. But getting back to Bigfoot, last year, a year ago, as we talk now, I took a course at Temple University just to refresh my physical anthropology background called human paleontology. And somewhere along the line, I mentioned Bigfoot to the professor. Now I've done that. I took a course at University of Pennsylvania, and the professor, I mentioned that he would not talk to me or call on me the rest of the semester.
Wow.
And he walked away in silence. But this professor really floored me. He says, "Oh, you know what Bigfoot is?" And I'm waiting for the joke, you know, I'm waiting for the joke. He says it's a creature called Meganthropus paleojavanicus. And I go, whoa, say that one again. Meganthropus paleojavanicus. Well, in my studies, I had never come across this creature. And so I looked him up, and sure enough, he fits the description, or it fits the description of what a lot of people are calling the North American Bigfoot. 8 to 9 feet tall, cone-shaped head, all that sort of stuff. And Eric, I gave you a chart with all of the skulls drawn on it. And so I did a little more research on it. And this creature, it's known from a few jaw bones, teeth, and craniums. They have 2 craniums. And what convinced me also, besides the professor, is that in the human lineage, It after we split off from the chimpanzee about 7 million years ago, the human lineage splits off into two general categories. One that leads to modern humans, and one that became extinct. A lineage that was just vegetarian, and it was the only lineage that had a sagittal crest. It's Paranthropus robustus is what it was called. It was also sometimes called Australopithecus robustus, Australopithecus boise, Paranthropus boise. So that's the only lineage in the human. They're hominids now. They're not apes. They're hominids, bipedal primates. And you got these two lineages. Well, this Meganthropus, as opposed to any hominid that's in the human line that ultimately winds up to us, it has a sagittal crest. It not only has one, it has two sagittal crests. It's the only hominid with two sagittal crests. And in my mind, it evolves at the same time as this Paranthropus robustus. And they did research on the teeth and the jaws, and they extrapolated to how big it was. It was 400 to 600 pounds, which is what they say the Bigfoots are. Very heavy, and had the cone-shaped head. And I said, "Oh my God, that's looking at it evolution-wise, fellas. I'm not talking about if it's something mythical or something that, I mean, there've been reports with Bigfoot coming from UFOs and that sort of stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an evolutionary process here. And this Meganthropus paleojavanicus, which means giant man from ancient Java, Indonesia. And that's the guy. That's the guy. And I suspect, because the Paleo Indians or the Paleo Native Americans, they came across from Eastern Asia during the last ice age, when the water was trapped in the ice, and it receded to form a land bridge between East Asia and North America. Well,
Bering
that's when
Straits.
they came across. Well, guess who else came across at that time?
Gigantopithecus blackie.
No.
That's our theory, but I'll let you continue. Sorry, Tom.
No, I'm saying that now you mix me up. I'm saying that Meganthropus paleojavanicus came across at the same time, because all of your Paleo Indians, they have the same legends of these hairy, man-like creatures, 9 to 10 feet tall in the forest and that sort of thing.
Tom, you're talking about the government and, with Roswell and everything, and what we're talking about as we go on here. I had a report, well, I actually read, and you probably saw this too, it was in the newspaper. I don't know if you guys saw it as well. A gentleman who is a chiropractor, not too far from here in Regalsville, Pennsylvania, talked about his Bigfoot sighting he had in Milford, PA, 35 years ago. He never talked about it until now. So he was getting the same kind of things. He's getting the howls. He had something coming up to the tent. He had and it was just so loud and making such a racket. Then the next day he goes out and sees footprints out there and everything. So has no idea what it is. So he came out with the story. His brother-in-law, I think it was being in a pinning ceremony in the military at the Pentagon. He's at the Pentagon. He's walking down the hallway and looks over and sees a sign, Bigfoot research, in the Pentagon. So, I mean, it's there. I mean, if that's true, if that's what he says is true.
Can I address Gigantopithecus since it's brought up?
Before you do, though, can I just ask one thing? Because you were talking about this, I can't even say the other one, but where were those bones?
You have to practice
3 times
it.
fast. But where were those relics found? I mean, what area were those bones, found?
Well, it was the jaw bones, number of jaw bones, teeth, and 2 craniums, which was key. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
Not what bones. I'm asking, where were they found?
Yes, in Indonesia.
But how would they have gotten across the Bering Straits? That's what I'm curious.
Well, it's all East Asia, and back then, when the water is up in the ice, all those islands they become peninsulas, and they
Yeah.
get connected.
That
And
makes
so
sense.
that's how they did it.
Okay.
And the Paleo Indians, I don't know if you know this or not, but they are called, anthropologically speaking, archaic Mongoloids. They're not like the Japanese or the Chinese or the modern Asians that we think of. They're an older stock, and they're called archaic Asians. And they're the ones that came across the land bridge, not the Chinese types or the Japanese, And according to my analysis, so did Bigfoot, as we call him.
Well, I don't know. Did you guys see the new evidence that there was a show called The Proof Is Out There, and they just did this new digitized sequence on the Patterson film, and they cleaned it up really well. And now they see a lot more detail than they ever saw before. They see the toes going up and then coming down into the sand. They see the thigh muscles. I mean, this is stuff that they
Even the herniation in the thigh. I mean, Bill Munns was privy to have one of the original.
I just wanted to finish off Gigantopithecus.
Go ahead. That's what I'm interested in.
The latest research. The latest research is that again, it's only known by jaw bones and teeth. About 1,000 teeth in the jaw bones. The latest analysis of the teeth puts it as an ancestral, it's a cousin of the orangutan. It's an earlier, but it's a quadruped, not a biped, which puts it out of the hominid stock into pongid. But it's a precursor of the modern orangutan, all from East Asia. And Gigantopithecus was from Indonesia, just like Meganthropus, and also most of them were their remains are from China. So
very interesting.
It's really cool. I mean, and just the that case that we were on with you that night. I mean, not only were we getting those whoops, but we were getting all kinds of weird howls all night. I mean, we didn't know what was going on. We heard all kinds of rustling in the background. Dominic kept seeing like a light anomaly, and Art had talked about like these red pinpoints of light out in the woods. So this is something we definitely need to go back. We need to go back there and do another investigation there, and probably do a little bit longer. So Dom,
if it's at night, count me out.
As long as Dominic doesn't have to work the next day.
Yeah, I'll take off the next day.
Take the next day off. Okay.
There you go.
I would like to add, Eric, that just a couple weeks ago, I was out there at that location. And I was meeting up with one of the newest member of our team and a friend. And as soon as I got there, I was getting whoops.
Wow.
I was still getting the same vocals that we had that night.
There is something definitely.
I think it seemed to me almost like it was like like what hunters kind of do, where they kind of they kind of herd the deer into a location, and that's almost what it sounded like to me.
When we heard that whoop, Dom, you heard the rustling going on behind us, and it was like it was like the big mama was coming toward the something like that was coming toward the juvenile, because it did sound like a juvenile.
And they're usually not alone. There's usually 2 or 3, in the area.
Obviously there is a family. There's a gathering there somehow, some way.
Yeah, I call it a clan.
A clan, right? Sorry, clan. You could see this video. It's on our Bucks County Paranormal Investigations YouTube page. It's called Pine Barrens Bigfoot, and it's a great video. Really great evidence. A lot of other videos we've got too, but this was a lot of fun that night. I mean, just fun, and just to get that evidence, that's what you strive for. You want to get down there, and and I'm sure you guys have had nights too where there's nothing that happens.
Last Thursday.
Yeah.
And Eric, I also want to put out there, we got an education that night.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
there's stuff that that Eric and Art had shown us that I wouldn't have known. I'm
absolutely.
I'm not a researcher for the Bigfoot. My talents lie elsewhere, but just the education and the tools that they use, it just amazed me.